This is the Cholo News Report for Friday 07 June 2019. French President Emmanuel Macron, United Kingdom Prime Minister Theresa May, and the United States President Donald Trump mark the 75th anniversary of Day in France, paying tribute to Allied World War II veterans. The risky maneuver, launched on June 6, 1944, saw more than 150,000 American, British and other Allied troops cross the English Channel to halt the advance of Adolf Hitler's war machine in northern France. Before the war, many have never ventured beyond their own community. Now they have come to offer their lives half a world from home, Mr. Trump remarked of the young men whose mission was to storm the beach codenamed Omer. On these shores, on these bluffs, on this day, 75 years ago, 10,000 men shed their blood and thousands sacrificed their lives for their brothers, for their countries and for the survival of liberty, Mr. Trump said. U.S. President Donald Trump and British Prime Minister Theresa May joined Macron at separate ceremonies along an 80-kilometre stretch of Normandy coastline, where more than 150,000 soldiers landed on June 6, 1944, under a hail of German fire. Restored wartime jeeps and amphibious vehicles lined the beach at Arromanches, and in villages along the Normandy shore the flags of Britain, Canada and the United States, the main contributors to the Allied force, fluttered in the breeze. World leaders attended ceremonies honoring Allied forces, who fought in the largest combined land, air and naval operation in history. By nightfall on 6 June, 1944, some 156,000 Allied troops, including British, United States and Canadian forces, had landed on Normandy's beaches, despite challenging weather and fierce German defenses. At 6:26 BST, the exact minute the first British troops landed on the beaches in 1944, a lone piper played on a section of the Mulberry Harbour in the French town of Arromanches. The African Union suspends Sudan's membership with immediate effect, after dozens of protesters were killed by pro-government forces in the capital Khartoum. The deputy head of the military council, Mohamed Hamdan Hamiti Dagalo, defended the violent suppression, claiming that the protesters had been infiltrated by rogue elements and drug dealers. Numerous reports said a paramilitary unit, the feared Rapid Support Forces commanded by Old-Gen Dagalo, was roaming the city's nearly deserted streets on Monday, targeting civilians. After an appeal from Saudi Arabia to resume talks, Genbaran reversed course and said the military council would open our arms to negotiate with no restriction. Niels Hodgel, post-war Germany's serial killer with the highest known kill count, is sentenced to life imprisonment for 85 murders. It's possible that he could no longer bear seeing bravely ill or dying patients and then took matters into his own hands. Carl Bain, head physician at Street Marion Hospital Ham and professor of psychiatry at Wittenherdecke University, told DW. The nurse had been moved out of the intensive care unit after initial suspicions arose, but he was nevertheless handed a certificate testifying to his excellent work, which he then used to find employment at a different hospital. With a view to kill, Germany's worst serial killers Fritz Hamann is thought to have sexually assaulted, murdered, mutilated and dismembered at least 24 boys and young men between 1918 and 1924. The full extent of his crimes were revealed after 500 pieces of human bone, some with knife marks, were found by Hanno, the residents worried about the disappearance of children in the area. The Central Committee of Sudanese doctors say the number of people killed this week in Sudan is at least 100, and that 40 bodies were pulled from the River Nile at Khartoum on Tuesday. Members of the Rapid Support Forces have reportedly been roaming the streets attacking civilians as it pushes deeper into Khartoum.